Hey, this is Jeff with Cake Coaching, and we are hanging out with Genevieve Burruss of The Way We Click Photography. Welcome.
Thanks.
How's it going over there?
It's really dreary and cold in Chicago today, but otherwise things are great.
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably a little bit nicer in SoCal. Meanwhile, I'm up in with really bad art in the background in this awesome rental in Canada. So the view the other direction is much better, I assure you.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I was going to ask you about those paintings, but I thought, just leave it.
Yeah, no, you really don't want to know. They're actually just covering up a hole, so it's like take your pick, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I want to talk to you about two things, and the first one is you are an expert, I think, at this point in moving your business, because you came from San Diego to Chicago, where you had built up this business, and then you moved into a place where, as far as I know, nobody really knew who the heck you were.
No, definitely not in the wedding and portrait circles that I run in now.
Yeah.
I lived here years ago in Chicago when I was out of grad school, so I was at a point in my life where I really wanted to change, and I love it here. So I thought it'll be very easy, because I can do what I do wherever I am, to just move. And I found out that was not the case. And so there were a couple of key things that I've learned over the last few years about how to do this effectively so that you don't flounder around so much. Yeah, it's definitely been an adventure, but I think I have it kind of down now. And I'm about to again in another year, so that'll be interesting too.
Yeah, well, exactly. So this is really, I think, relevant to where you're at right now.
Absolutely.
So tell me, what are those two things that what are some things that you've learned from this experience? What do you tell somebody who's like, I've built up this business over the years, I'm about to move to a new city, I have no idea what to do?
I think the first thing that's relevant is to really do your research about the market that you're going to be going into. Obviously, markets are different for portrait and wedding photography all over the country, so it really depends on the area you're moving to. So you need to get to know that. You need to research the other photographers that are there, the ones that are in your price bracket of where you would like to be, and sort of get a feeling for what are people including in their packages. What's the style that seems to be predominantly popular, and then try and find ways to kind of insert yourself into that community in little ways. So if you take a trip there, for example, to find a place, go to a networking meeting. I think that you have to find out who everybody is so that you can then establish yourself as a name. Because if nobody knows who you are coming in, the big part of our business that is, really important is our referral base. And that's from planners, other photographers, people we meet. So establishing a community that you can reach to for support, that's the 100% most important thing I could tell you is go to networking meetings for photography, go to networking meetings for just wedding professionals in general. I signed up for something in town here that's like a ladies networking thing, and it's from all walks of life. So I go to that once a month, and everyone goes to a different place, and we have a glass of wine, and I've met some really interesting, wonderful people who have then recommended me to friends and colleagues, and that's how it goes. You have to make yourself a part of the community immediately.
Okay.
So the other thing that, we all do advertising in our own ways. So I think that, thinking back, I wished I had moved my advertising contracts that I currently hold to those markets beforehand, and then started really working the Facebook angle and stuff too. Facebook is an incredible resource for us. So if you do happen to go to the city you're moving to and you meet some people, add them on Facebook, get them to like your business page, comment on their stuff, try and make friends and establish relationships so that when you then post things, it's relevant to them too. And so then they're looking at you and viewing you from that market. Establish a business page on Yelp is also a big one. I just booked a wedding yesterday from a girl who found me on Yelp. Totally random, and we had a Skype meeting because she lives 2 hours away, and she's awesome and super cool. And we just hit it off right away, and I knew that this was going to be a good fit. So you can completely book people and have a business with Skype. It's an amazing tool and a resource, and I use it constantly in my business. So, you need to work those angles.
Nice. So, I mean, once you actually get there, just get involved, it sounds like. I mean, it sounds like you just like hustled and networked as much as you could just to let people know who the heck you were a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of lucked out, and I met another wedding photographer who ended up becoming a really good friend of mine. And so I feel like she was younger in her business world, so she was really trying to make a name for herself in general. But what I didn't realize coming over is like, you get kind of this big head. I had a very established business in San Diego. I knew all the wedding planners in town and all of the venue site planners and florists and caterers, anyone you can imagine. I knew that industry there. So I was like, oh, I can just pick up and move and just walk right into these things. But what I failed to recognize about those relationships is that I've been building them for 5 years. So by the time I was in this really good place, I had known these people and grown up with them in a way. So when I moved here, it's literally starting over. So you can kind of come into a new community and sort of suss out who is on the brink of coming up. So it's not the people that are hyper established, 20-year established businesses who are the creme de la creme. You can't walk into those places and try and talk to those planners and be like, oh, I'd really like to do something with you, or you should recommend me. And they're looking at you like, I don't even know who you are. You gotta find the people that are like on your level, that you can like hang out with and socialize with, and you all come together as a community and, start recommending each other. It's huge. I had no idea.
Is that a hard pill to swallow if you're like this established SoCal vendor and then you come here and nobody knows who the heck you are, where you're like, but I am at that level. I do want to connect with somebody who's like really established and really well known, because that's who I was.
Yeah, I mean, I won Brides Magazine in the UK. I do a lot of destination stuff, and they named me one of the top 25 wedding photographers worldwide for destination work. And I have a couple of good things behind me, like not to brag, but I'm doing this a long time, and so I have this good name, and it meant nothing, absolutely nothing. I came here and I was like, this really sucks. Like, I don't know what to do at all. So the best thing that I could do was just to get to know everybody. And that seemed to be the best way to go. Facebook and Yelp and moving. So I'm a member of the WPJA, which is like the Wedding Photojournalists Association. And I'm also a member of the ISPWP, which is the International Society of Professional Wedding Photography. Very long names for just a group of photographers who like putting their work out there, and we recommend each other and stuff. So I moved my listings to Illinois, to the Chicago area before I moved here, and I thought, I get a lot of business from California off of those listings. So when I move them to Chicago, I'll continue to get that, because those are sort of third-party things, so it doesn't matter if I know you or not.
Right.
I figure people will see my work. But what I didn't realize is that those particular sites are not as popular here in the Midwest as they are in California. So I had a big, I had a kind of a name for myself from the WPJA and winning some awards and stuff in California, but that market really responds to that, and the Midwest market did not. So it was also kind of just a double whammy bummer for me that not only am I not being seen because no one's looking at those sites, but maybe the style of my work that I'm putting out there, I was worried that it wouldn't translate to this market, which ended up being not true, but it just took me a while to find the right places to present myself because they were different than in California. So I got involved in like the Green Wedding Alliance, which is a local organization here, and
just totally awesome.
It is totally awesome. If y'all are in Chicago, you should check it out. It's just like green-minded vendors, and I'm a very green person myself, and so it seemed like a good group of people to align myself with. Plus, we do really cool community outreach things, which were important to me to like give back to my community and be a relevant part of it instead of just a passive part of it. And then through that, I've had a huge response from the style of work that I do from those people, because that particular organization caters to the kinds of clients that I want to have.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like, I want to be able to, you know, say the word in front of my clients and have it be okay.
Nice.
I mean, not in an initial meeting, of course, but I connect with my clients on a really real, visceral level. Like, we go out and have beer, and, you know, we hang out and talk on Skype, and they send me pictures of their wedding dress, and I really genuinely get excited for them, like, as the process goes through. And so if we can't get along on any sort of real level, then I'm not the right person for you. So you have to find the circles where the people that you want to work for are going to be. And it's different everywhere you live. So
it's an awesome insight. Well, thank you for making that beautiful transition for me, because I wanted to talk next about how do you find those perfect clients. And I think one of the big questions is, you know, hey, so I have this ideal client, this niche that I want to work in, or that I have been working in someplace, but I moved to a new place. And now I think a lot of people get scared, and they're like, I just got to work with anything that moves and has a dollar bill because I need to pay the bills. Like, I'm just like panicking. So how do you walk the line of like, even though I'm an experienced business owner, I'm starting over with a new business essentially. And at the same time, like, I want to still connect with like the right kinds of brides.
It's really hard. And I'm not going to lie. I think at this point, being able to say no is a really huge, powerful thing, but it is the most scary thing, especially when you're starting over. Being able to tell people, you're great, but your like teal and pink wedding plan that you're laying out for me is freaking me out, and I don't want to photograph your 19 bridesmaids, so perhaps those table shots you want somebody to do would be best done by somebody else. I mean, you never want to be mean about it, but at the end of the day, if you don't like your clients, you're not going to do good work for them, and that is going to follow you around. So I would rather, what I ended up doing was, and it killed me to do it, but I lowered my prices a lot, just initially for a little while, just until I found that sweet spot of work, so that I could work with people who maybe had a lower budget, but that were like-minded, so that I was working and staying relevant and busy, and bringing in some money at the same time. And it took me about a year to move back up to the pricing I was at in California. Okay. So like a year and a half, I was much lower in price than I was comfortable with when I moved here. But it ended up being a blessing, because the referrals that I have gotten from those people that I did work with have really given me dividends in every way possible. So I know that people like to talk a lot about, don't make yourself too cheap. People will brand you that way, and they'll tell someone that you were cheap and blah, blah, blah. But it actually doesn't work that way. I did a wedding for a girl when I first moved here. Like, right away, she booked me, and like 4 months later had her wedding. It was kind of this crazy giant Muslim event, and it was nuts and awesome and beautiful. And I'm doing her sister's wedding in August, and I'm doing her brother's wedding next year. And each one of those packages, when they came to me to book them, I gave them my pricing as is now, and they were like, yep, no problem. Like, of course, there's some negotiation that goes on, but at the end of the day, they know me, and my reputation preceded me because I did amazing work in a relevant way for them and their family. And that is what's going to help you move back up price-wise to where you want to be. You can't just come in out the gate in a new market and be like, I'm going to charge $10,000 and you're going to hire me because I'm expensive and awesome. People are going to be like, who are you?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you talked about like some of the reasons why or some of the red flags, I guess, for you, which are colors or maybe bridal party. But I know just from hanging out with you that really for you it's much more of a vibe thing. I mean, if you're sitting down with somebody and you're like, whoa, like this is not a good fit, we are not connecting at all, then I'm guessing that's probably much more of the reason, although it's easier to pin it on like poor color choice or something else, like that, when really it's just like, you know they're not going to be totally happy with you, and you're definitely not going to be happy with them.
Yeah, that's just it. I have a certain aesthetic, as all photographers I know do. And so I think a lot of times when you get clients who are uneducated about the industry and how it all works, they just see this is my price point, and they're going to go on, the Knot and just take everyone who's in that price point and start contacting them all and setting up meetings with all of these vendors because they really have no idea what they want. Mm-hmm. And so it's your job to educate people about what you're about, number one. Make sure that they have seen a full event of yours or a full portrait session or whatever it is that you do. Like, this isn't, me trying to be secretive or whatever, but I send people like a full wedding, like, here, full disclosure, this is what your proof stage images will look like at the end of the day. If you still like it, then let's move forward and sit down together, because I don't want them to just pick me based on my price point. So that's number one thing. And honestly, price point eliminates a lot of people. And it's unfortunate because some of those people I really like, but at the end of the day, it is a business. So you have to keep that in mind too. So then when you sit down with them, I've literally had girls tell me the most insane things that they want, like, I'm going to, I have this shot list, and so-and-so cousin gave me this list of things to ask you, and it's straight out of a magazine that has no relevance whatsoever to do with your event. Right. And it doesn't necessarily disqualify people, but you can get a sense for, this girl doesn't really care about, her event, or this couple isn't really interested in the art that I do. So exactly. At that point, that's fine if you're not educated on that. But then if I don't like you and we don't get along, it's just an immediate no. Because give me a break. Like, I am going to be putting a lens in your face while you're in your underwear. Like, you like me, this is all going to get amplified on your wedding day. And if I irritate you in any way, shape, or form, it's going to just be huge that day. And you're going to hate me, and I'm going to hate you too. And then your photos are going to suck. So,
nice. Well, and the opposite is so true. I mean, your clients absolutely love you. That's why you get such great pictures, is because, they enjoy being around you. And there's just there's some energy around that.
Mm-hmm. I want to be friends with you. I had a client, I shot their wedding in January, and she was from overseas, so she had to stay there until her visas and stuff came in. Mm-hmm. And so she booked me over Skype, and we ended up Skyping like 2 or 3 times just to be like, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. And we sort of like forged this friendship. So when she got to town, I just happened to be having a Christmas party, and they live in the neighborhood, so I invited them over, and like they just fit right into my group. Like they're like people I'm going to be friends with. And you can't always have that, but that's kind of the idea, is like, I need to connect with you on some level so that I genuinely care. And if I can't be myself and swear and talk about, bad TV and like, I don't know, like whatever's going on in my life, then we have no business working together. So you have to draw the line somewhere of like, what's important to you. I know a lot of photographers who are really, successful, who outsource their processing and album designs and all this kind of stuff, because for them it's like, it's a business and they want to free up as much time as possible. But I actually genuinely touch everything. So that's one of the selling points about me, is that, okay, I'm in this little niche, and I'm going to spend an insane amount of time on your work. So I want to connect with you. And I literally tell people that, like, I need to connect with you. And I've sat there in meetings and just had to say, I really think you're great, but I feel like for what you're telling me you want, I'm not the right person for you. And I would really hate for you to hire me and then be disappointed later, because this is your one shot to get it right. Exactly. And it actually garners a lot of respect. And I had a girl that I told no to recommend me to her friend, and she booked me, and she was awesome. Like,
that's hilarious.
So I don't know how that happened, but it's going to gain respect for you in the long run on every side. Other vendors are going to appreciate it because, if there's somebody's style that would better be a good fit for them, then I'm, recommending back into the community, and the people like it because they get what they want. And I don't know, it's just a better thing, to be honest. It's hard, but you have to be honest.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. I promise this would be short, and it's been a little bit longer, but I
Oh,
appreciate you sticking around. It's been awesome, and I love having you share your wisdom, and of course, you're funny and awesome as always. And I'm totally cutting out your swearing. I'm blooping that for sure.
yeah, I know.
I love it though. Love it. All right, awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And your website is thewayweclick.com.
Yep.
Cool. So yeah, so if you wanna check out Jen and see what she's up to and look at all of her fabulous work, that's where you got to go. And I will put that on the interwebs too in a clickable form so you can click on that stuff. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, Steph. Have a good one.